She was plating pasta in silence when I asked, "When did we start living like co-workers?" "Don't be dramatic." Aaron flicked sauce off the spoon. "You're tired. Eat." "That's not an answer. It's a Tuesday, Mark. I'm not doing a therapy session over noodles." I pushed the plate away. "There's a gulf here. I'm trying to close it." She shrugged, rinsed the spoon, and checked her phone. "Then close it. I've got emails." If I'd known where this was headed, I would have finished the pasta, shook her hand like a business partner, and skipped a month of trying. I didn't. I tried. The next morning, I took flowers to her office, the kind she used to point at in the grocery store. She texted, "Thanks, leave with receptionist." That night, I booked a Saturday downtown, reservations, a view, the whole thing. "Can't," she said, dropping her bag by the stairs. "Spinning class. Then brunch with the girls." "You remember the girls?" "I remember we haven't had a dinner alone in 2 weeks." She pulled off her blazer. "Let's not keep score, okay?" "I'm keeping respect," I said. "Scoreboards are for sports. This is maintenance." She snorted. "You and your metaphors." "I don't speak in metaphors," I replied. "I'm telling you I feel shut out." "Because I won't skip a workout?" "Because I'm not hanging on your arm every night." She opened the fridge like it had personally offended her. "I'm allowed to have a life." "I'm not asking for a leash. I'm asking for a hand." She popped a can of sparkling water. "Then hold your own." The week rolled in with the same tone. I handled groceries, trash, oil change, the small things that keep a house from drifting. Erin gave me one-word updates and long silences. When I tried to kiss her, she turned so my lips landed on cheekbone. In bed, she lay on her edge like there was tape down the middle. Saturday, I tried anyway. I ironed a shirt, waited while the host found our name. We ate a quiet meal overlooking a river she didn't look at once. I paid, and back in the car I said, "We're not fine." She stared out the window. "Maybe stop saying that, and we will be." "I'm saying it because it's true." She yawned. "Can we go? I've got an early morning." At home, she went straight to the shower. I stood in the kitchen, hands on the counter, and decided if she needed space, I'd give real space. Not the type where I hover begging for crumbs. Actual boundaries. Sunday morning, I moved my clothes to the guest room and set up a small coffee maker on my workbench in the garage. I rerouted my mornings. Gym at 6, emails from the bench with the garage door cracked, then into the day. At lunch, I opened a separate checking account and set up auto transfers for my portion of bills. I left her a note. "I'm trimming noise. My schedule's changing. If you need something, put it on the calendar." That evening, when she got home, she stood in the doorway of the guest room. "What's this?" Her tone was flat, but her eyes scanned the hangers. "Space," I said. "So dramatic." "You like that word," I said. "Use the calendar if we need to coordinate." "I'm done chasing texts that say maybe." She folded her arms. "You're punishing me for not being clingy." "I'm setting terms for respect," I replied. "Terms are clear." She hissed air between her teeth. "Don't make rules in my house." "Our house," I corrected. "Don't test me on words. I do words for a living." She spun on a heel and left. That night, her laughter floated down the hallway from our room, and through the crack of the guest door, I saw blue light from her phone splash the ceiling. Her voice dropped low for some conversation I wasn't part of. I lay on the small bed and let the quiet tell me more than her text ever would. By Wednesday, the little tells multiplied. A new scent clung to her hair that didn't live on our bathroom shelf. A second toothbrush was in the drawer, then gone by morning. She started taking long walks after dinner with her phone face down on the table before she went. Thursday, I tried again, last time before I moved from talk to policy. We were at the counter. She was crushing an avocado like it owed her money. "Look at me for 5 minutes," I asked. She didn't turn. "Make it 2. Are we good?" She cracked pepper over the bowl. "Define good." "Partners. Teammates. A couple with a plan." "Plans change. You want distance, say distance. You want me out, say out. I'm not hanging in fog." "Stop forcing a narrative," she said. "Some weeks are quiet. That's life. Quiet I can handle. Contempt I won't." She smiled without teeth. "Then don't." I washed my hands, dried them on a towel, and decided we were done with soft approaches. The next scene wasn't going to be flowers. It was going to be policy. Saturday, we went to my buddy Tim's barbecue. If you want a snapshot of suburban America, it's Tim, mortgage broker, smoker out back he treats like a second child, Backyard strung with those cafe lights people love for photos. Couples, kids, burgers, old rock through a portable speaker. I figured a public setting might reset the tone. Sometimes people remember they're on the same team when they're around witnesses. Tim clapped me on the shoulder. "You two alive?" "Surviving," I said. Aaron looked around, sunglasses still on. "Where's the restroom?" Tim pointed. She walked off without a word. Tim raised an eyebrow. "She okay?" "She's training for a marathon of being distant," I said. "New personal best." He blew out a breath. "You need anything, say?" I didn't. I grabbed sodas, mingled. When Erin came back, she parked herself beside the cooler like a lifeguard guarding water. People tried small talk. She let it die. 10 minutes later, a circle formed by the grill. Me, Erin, Tim, his wife Jenna, and our neighbor Carol, who never misses a chance to stir a pot. Carol did her thing. "So when are we getting little ones, you two?" "Clock's ticking, right?" Erin barked a laugh. "Ask him. He loves plans. He'll show you a spreadsheet." She tapped my arm with 2 fingers, a gesture I didn't recognize. "He schedules romance like he schedules oil changes." Jenna winced. "Yikes." I took a sip of soda. "Which part is the joke? The spreadsheet, the romance, or the oil?" Erin tilted her head. "All of it." "Then here's a boundary," I said, not raising my voice. "No more digs in public. If you've got thoughts about me, save them for the calendar." Tim glanced down at the grill. Carol's eyebrows shot up like awnings. Erin shifted her weight. "Don't police my tone," she said. "It was a joke." "Your jokes land like rocks. I'm not your target. Not here, not anywhere." The air got still. Then Erin did something unexpected. She reached for a plate, scooped Mac's salad, and handed it to me. "Here," she said. "Eat." I was out of line. Jenna blinked. Carol smirked. Tim gave me a look that said maybe this blows over. I took the plate. "Thank you." For 10 minutes, she played pleasant. She found a chair next to me, asked Tim about his smoker, told Jenna she liked her shoes. She even squeezed my shoulder once as if this was a scene from last year. My guard loosened an inch. On the drive home, she kept it going. "Do you want to stop for ice cream?" she asked, eyes on the road. "Since when?" "Since I realized I was being sharp," she said. "I can own that." Good. We didn't stop. The line was out the door. At home, she put a hand on my chest in the hallway like she was about to initiate something we hadn't had in weeks. Then she said, "I need the car Monday. I've got a day trip. The girls want to check out a spa upstate." There it was, the price tag. The softness had terms. I stepped to the side and let her hand drop. "Take a rental," I said. "Why are you difficult?" "I'm consistent," I replied. "You want my time or my keys, you go through my calendar. That's how it is now." Her lip twitched. "You're ridiculous." "Put it on the calendar," I repeated. Monday morning, she left in a rideshare anyway. No note. No, added to calendar. At lunch, I checked our joint statement out of habit, not because I like playing detective, but because I handle bills. A new charge pinged. A boutique hotel 40 minutes from town, 2 weekday nights. We'd never gone there. Erin's last text, "Working late." I watched the charge sit on the screen like a stain. That evening, she came home with a bag from a home goods store, and a light mood switched on. "I bought new towels," she said, tossing the bag on the couch. "Ours are old. From the boutique hotel near the lake." Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. She blinked once. "What?" "There's a charge on our card." "Oh," she said lightly. "I covered lunches for the team. Their system ran through the hotel. Stop tracking everything. It's suffocating." "I track bills. Not you." She kissed the air near my cheek like a politician. "Loosen up." I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I made a phone call instead. Tuesday morning, I met a man named Harris at a coffee shop near the highway. He was ex-military, crisp haircut, talk in bullet points, zero fluff. "What do you need?" he asked, notepad ready. "Clarity," I said. "No gossip. Facts. Timestamps. If there's nothing, I'll pay and move on. If there's something, I'll handle it." "Understood." "I'm not looking for drama," I added. "I'm looking for the truth, so I can decide whether I'm done." He nodded. "Give me a week." "Fine." I slid him a list of her usual haunts, class schedules, the car plate she used when she borrowed my SUV, and the little I knew about this new pattern of girls' nights that didn't include any actual girls I recognized. Then I went to work and did my job like a man who had a plan and no time for the theater at home. That week I also put more structure in place. I canceled our standing Sunday brunch circuit. I redirected the house cleaner to a different schedule and paid her myself. I told Erin, "I'll handle my spaces, you handle yours." She rolled her eyes and called me controlling. I answered without heat. Control is order. It keeps people from walking in at random hours to a house they don't respect. Wednesday night, she brought home takeout and set it on the counter. "Truce," she said. "Conditions?" She smiled small. "No conditions. I was sharp, you were sharp. Let's reset." I opened boxes, let the steam hit my face, and waited for the hook. "You should move back into our room," she said, almost casual. "Your back must be killing you on that guest mattress." "There it is," I said. "There what is?" "The hook. You're impossible." "I'm not moving back for a bowl of noodles," I said. "I'm fine where I am." "I'm trying here," she shot back. "You want warmth? Here it is." "I want respect," I answered. "Warmth without respect is a sales pitch." She laughed once, humorless. "You make everything a contract." "No," I said. "I enforce the ones we already had." We ate in a thin piece. An hour later, her phone buzzed on the counter. She flipped it face down fast. I didn't comment. I didn't need to. My phone buzzed too. A text from Harris, "Package ready. I'll send in the morning." I slept like a log for the first time in a month. He sent everything at 7:14 a.m., a tidy stack in a shared folder, dates, times, photos. Erin and a man I'd never seen in my life, meeting when I was at work, lunch that turned into afternoons, the man's truck in our driveway on an afternoon my calendar showed me on site across town. A shot of them stepping into our doorway. The timestamp nailed it. There was no room for "you misunderstood." There was nothing to debate. I made coffee in the garage and watched the dawn sharpen. Then I called an old friend, Sam, who handles the unromantic paperwork people need to end things clean. We didn't discuss anger. We discussed signatures, logistics, address changes, accounts. I booked a storage unit under my name, arranged movers who don't ask questions, and set a 7-day plan. It wasn't drama, it was a checklist. The checklist would end on her birthday, which she had talked up for months like it was a national holiday. That night, I was polite. I didn't volunteer stories. I moved through the house like a tenant who pays on time. Erin tried the softer routine again, hand on my shoulder in the kitchen, asking about my day, a little laugh that used to mean "come closer." "Want to walk by the lake?" she asked. "I've got an early start," I said. "Rain check." Her eyes cooled. "Rain checks don't pay interest. Neither do empty promises." She exhaled. "You're really going to live in that guest room?" "For now." She rattled the drawer looking for a corkscrew, found it, poured herself a glass. "I don't know what else you want from me. Honesty, but if that's not in stock, silence will do," I said, then left it there. 2 days later, she marched into the garage, holding her phone like it was a subpoena. "We're going to Miami for my birthday," she announced. "Girls' trip. Flights are cheap. I'll be out a week." "On your birthday?" I asked, tying down a box in the truck bed. "It's my life," she said. "I don't need a chaperone." "Then you don't need my car either," I said, wiping my hands. "Or my miles. Or my time. Handle it." "Wow. Control much?" "Boundary," I corrected. She squared up like she was stepping into a ring. "Not happy? File for divorce." I raised a brow. "That the plan? Maybe it should be." "Good to know," I replied, easy. "Have fun on your trip." For a second, confusion flitted across her face like a cloud over a field. She expected me to beg or blow up. I did neither. I had a week to finish my list. I'd use it. When she rolled her suitcase to the door the following Friday, she was glowing in that way people glow when they believe they've won an argument you weren't even playing. "Don't wait up," she said. "I won't," I said, and meant it. She left, and I got to work. Movers came the next morning. We packed her clothes with the same care you give a stranger's belongings. I labeled boxes. Erin, closet. Erin, bath. Erin, office. No malice. Just order. I paid for a unit near her friend Jill's neighborhood. Close enough to be convenient. Far enough to be clear. I changed the keypad code at the house and updated the account alerts. I sent a calm email to utilities, split billing effective immediately. I forwarded my personal mail to a new box. I told the cleaner, please clean the primary bedroom. Occupant changed. Then I lived. I watched a game at Tim's, laughed too loud, ate wings that ruined my shirt. On Sunday, I met Sam at his office and signed what needed signing. Monday, I lifted heavy things at the gym and slept like a man who had made a hard decision and stopped pretending it was complicated. My friends noticed. Tim poured me a beer in his garage. You okay? I'm better, I said. Jenna leaned in the doorway, arms folded. You know you don't owe explanations, right? I owe myself a standard, I said. I let it slide, and then I enforced it. That's the whole sermon. They nodded. They didn't pry. That was the gift. After we talked, Tim flipped on a game, and I texted a plumber to move a line in the laundry room I'd been putting off for months. I checked boxes. Each one felt like a step out of a swamp. Midweek, Aaron texted a photo of a beach, and you're missing out. I put the phone face down. Missing what exactly? The bill? The silence? I went back to changing the oil on the mower. She didn't know what I was doing. That was the point. She needed to believe I was still orbiting her plans while I quietly exited the solar system. The night before she was due back, I placed a folder on the dining table. Inside, papers Sam had prepared, a set of keys for the storage unit, a list of where her things were, and a printed timeline from Harris. I didn't circle anything. I didn't write gotcha. I don't talk in exclamation points. I also left a simple letter, 2 paragraphs. No threats. Aaron. The distance wasn't a phase. It was a decision. I'm making mine in response. Your belongings are safe and labeled. The house will be in my name. Accounts are separated. If you need to coordinate logistics, use email. There's nothing to discuss beyond that. I clicked the TV on and let the house breathe. Her flight landed around 3 on a gray Thursday. I heard the car door, the roller of the suitcase on the walkway. The lock turned. She stepped in, sunglasses on, smile set like a mask. Hello, she called, dropping her bag. I didn't look away from the game. Afternoon. Aren't you going to say hi? She kicked off her shoes, planted a hand on her hip. Your wife is back from a trip. I muted the TV and looked at her level. Why'd you come back? Her head jerked. What? Why'd you come back? I repeated. To my house. To my husband. The volume went up. Are you serious? Right? I said, nodding. I forgot. I pointed toward the dining table without getting up. There's a folder for you. Bags are in the bedroom. She blinked, slow, then faster. She walked to the table, picked up the folder, slid the first page out. I watched the confidence drain from her stance like someone let air out of a tire. Her eyes skimmed lines, hit the timeline. She paused on a photo. Fingers tightened. She checked the dates, then the keys tagged with the storage unit address. She looked at me again, and the smile was gone. Mark, she started. No. She swallowed. This is orderly, I said. It's orderly. She flicked to the next photo. Her with the man in the doorway of our house on a Wednesday. I was an hour across town. No labels. No insults. Just a moment frozen with enough context to end 100 arguments before they could start. She didn't argue. She didn't cry loud. She moved like someone who suddenly understood the cost of a long joke. She put the papers down without clipping them back in the folder, walked into the bedroom, and saw the suitcases neatly stacked. She stood there a long time. I stayed on the couch and let the commentary from the muted game fill the air with harmless sound. When she came back, her face was pale, jaw set. She didn't try a speech about us or throw a glass. She didn't ask how I knew. She zipped the suitcases, rolled them to the door, and paused. You planned this, she said. Correct. On my birthday? You planned your trip on your birthday, I said. We both made plans. She blinked hard. You're not even angry. I was. Then I moved on to productive. She opened her mouth, closed it, then lifted the folder again like it might morph if she held it long enough. It didn't. She slid it into her tote. Do you want to say anything before I go? She asked quietly. Anything at all. I stood up, finally, and walked to the door. I opened it and stepped aside. Safe drive, I said. And do not come back without emailing first. The codes changed. She nodded once, wiped a thumb under one eye, and rolled her suitcases out to the drive. She loaded the trunk herself, got in, and pulled away without another word. The house was still. I sat back down, turned the TV volume up 2 notches, and felt something unhook inside me that had been stuck for a long time. No fireworks. No speech. Just the end of a season that needed ending. The week after the break was quiet in a way peace feels like a stranger at first. I changed the locks properly. I repainted the bedroom and reclaimed it, not as a stage for drama, but as a place to sleep and wake up without measuring the distance to the other side. I sold a few pieces of furniture that belonged to an old script and bought a cheap, sturdy table I didn't have to baby. Work got better. It turns out not being mentally on call for someone else's mood frees up a lot of bandwidth. I took a project my boss had hesitated to offer and finished ahead of schedule. He asked how I liked leadership. I told him it was easier than marriage. Tim stopped by with his truck to help haul boxes to the thrift store. "You look 10 pounds lighter," he said. 15, I corrected. "You hear from her?" "No." "Good," he said. "That's clean." News traveled, as it does. Carol from down the block saw me in the driveway and couldn't help herself. "I heard Erin moved out," she chirped, clutching a reusable bag like a prop. "She did. Such a shame," she said, trying to peek inside the garage. "You two were cute." "We were efficient," I said. "Now we're accurate." Meaning? "Meaning people will believe what they want," I said. "You have a good day, Carol." I closed the garage door slowly, just enough for her to get the hint. A month later, I met Paige at a hardware store while arguing with a teenager about the right size of a valve. Paige laughed, told me I was wrong, and proved it by fixing the thing with a quarter turn. She's a nurse, all calm competence and no patience for martyrdom. We got coffee. She didn't ask to see my wounds. She asked about my weekends. When I told her the quick version, she didn't lean in for gossip. She nodded once and said, "Sounds like you cleaned house." "I did," I said, "literally and otherwise." We took it slow. I wasn't in a hurry to build a new tower just because I'd knocked down an old one. But when she sat in my kitchen reading a recipe out loud and laughing when I misread a measurement, the room felt like it had oxygen again. As for Erin, I didn't need front row seats to her next season. The summary came through mutuals the way those summaries always do. The man from the photos didn't turn into a partner with a plan. A month after she left my driveway, she was sharing a town apartment with 2 friends, figuring out bills without a spreadsheet to blame. A friend of a friend saw her at a wine bar with a tight smile and too much phone time. Not my business anymore. Not my problem. Consequences are boring to watch and rich to live through. She's living through hers. On a Saturday morning, I took my truck out early, drove past the fields outside town, and parked where the road dips and the old oaks hang over the ditch. I sipped coffee from a dented thermos and called my dad. "How's life?" he asked. "Quiet," I said. "Good kind or bad kind?" "Earned kind." He chuckled. "Your mother says hi." I hung up and headed back, rolled the windows down on purpose. At a stoplight, I thought about the first night I asked Erin to look at me for 5 minutes. I thought about the calendar, the blue light under a door, the smile she wore when she rolled her suitcase across our tile. I didn't feel triumph. I felt competent. Sometimes the win isn't fireworks. It's clean lines where mess used to live. People confuse kindness with letting chaos run your schedule. They're different. You can love someone, and when they treat your house like an airport lounge, you can wish them a safe flight. The last thing I said to her still stands as my last word on the whole chapter. Safe drive. And don't come back without emailing first. That's not anger. That's policy. And policy, it turns out, is peace.